You're listening to Staying Wild, the podcast where we ditch burnout and build outrageous success and lives the wild way. I'm Adelaide, the high-performance coach James Bond would secretly hire if pink was his vibe. I've helped over 500 high achievers land promotions, smash personal bests, pivot careers, achieve their full potential, and actually love their lives. Yes, I have. All in under a year. No fluff, just deep mindset work, potent energy, and breakthroughs worth popping champagne over. Now it's time to join me and Wolfie on the wild side with today's episode.
Today's episode is called From Summit to Boardroom, Leadership Lessons in Habits. Because whether you're climbing a mountain or leading a company, success isn't built on one giant leap. It's built on the small, consistent actions you take every single day. A 2006 study found that more than 40% of people's daily actions are habits, which means if you want to become the leader you wished you'd had, you need the habits that reflect that vision. Now, full disclosure, you may be able to tell already, I've been sick all week. So I have not had any capacity to record new content for you. Also, hence, if you're listening, then you cannot see the tatty jumper and the messy hair. But if you're watching, you might be able to get this vibe. So what I have for you instead is something I am deeply proud of. It's 2 lessons from my program, Elevate Your Life, which is inside the Wild Collective. And this was an old project. Well, I say old, I think I finished it last year. And I really dreamed up for it. And I haven't let go of that dream. It's just not the timing right now. It's just so crazy. I've just not been able to get it off the ground, to be completely honest. It's just been one of those blah, blah journeys that hasn't gone to plan. Maybe I should talk about that actually. You can let me know if you're interested in the comments. The Wild Collective is my ultimate dream. I dreamed it up for women leaders to become the best versions of themselves. And I want you to think Norwegian mountain luxury lifestyle meets mindset and neuroscience meets a safe online space for women. That's really what I dreamed of, is like this one-stop shop for mindset for female leaders who have this passion for nature, for this mountain lifestyle, and it's a place where they can retreat. And I really wanted to also create a physical space, a retreat as well. But as I said, PMDD, severe depression, I created it, but I just wasn't able to get it off the ground in a way it needed to be. But maybe next year I have some plans, but I have no idea what my life is going to look like in 3 months' time, let alone 6 months. If you are aware of my current Norwegian mission to renew my visa by locking in some corporate contracts, that's the number one aim of the current game. Lock in 2 to 5 key corporate contracts so I can renew my visa. So if you're a team or a leader who has a team, and you would like to hire me to help you achieve peak performance, well-being, and happiness without burning out in just 45 days, then shoot me a message. Details are in the show notes. Okay, so moving on a little bit. Today, therefore, after that segue, I am sharing 2 of my favorite lessons from the module from the Wild Collective, which is Dream Fulfillment Through Habit Mastery. We are going to dive into the power of habits, the science of neuroplasticity, and why rewiring your brain is the ultimate game changer for leaders who don't just want to reach peak performance, but they want to stay there. And you'll hear the story even of my client, Stephen, who shifted out of old limiting patterns and unlocked breakthroughs, like £36,000 kind of breakthroughs, both in his career, obviously, and his life as well, simply by mastering his daily habits. And then halfway through, I have my wonderful guest, Finn Hovem, who is founder of Hello Lyngen. He's going to join us, and he built his guiding company in one of Norway's most spectacular mountain ranges called Lyngen. while he navigated some major health challenges. Today, he shares with us his habits that helped him succeed, and his journey really shows us that the same mindset that gets you safely to a summit is the mindset that sustains you in leadership. So if you've ever wondered how to train your brain to work for you instead of against you, and how to build habits that unlock your best leadership without draining your energy, this episode is for you. So let's get started. In the midst of constant messaging, urging you to try harder, exert more effort, whether it's adopting a new habit, shedding weight, besting yourself, boosting your earnings, enhancing sports performance, or any other endeavor, there is a familiar struggle. Despite pouring time, energy, and effort into these pursuits, the desired results often remain elusive. It might feel like you're entangled in a web of obstacles, being pulled in different directions. And this internal battle can be exhausting, compounded by self-criticism for not achieving your goals as quickly as you'd like, or even maintaining the desired consistency. Let's unravel this challenge together in the habit module. Dream fulfillment through habit mastery. Your brain is plastic. It changes, grows, and develops as a result of how you use it. Your brain doesn't wire itself around which neuropathways produce the best results, only which neuropathways you use the most. Think of your brain like Google Maps. If you often say to yourself, "I'm anxious," your brain takes the quickest route, following the major highways you've accidentally and unintentionally created around anxiety. You quickly and efficiently arrive at anxiety. You may want to feel calm and confident instead, but these neuropathways are like bumpy, windy country roads. They're hard to find and they're difficult to travel down. Your brain avoids these more helpful neuropathways. For the good thoughts, feelings, and habits to become your new normal, you need to start changing your story, narrative, beliefs, and identities. This transforms the "I'm anxious" pathway from major highways into the roads less traveled. So suddenly, those helpful neuropathways are your major highways. It'll actually transform to such an extent, and maybe you've already experienced this, that you're not even plugging "I'm anxious" into Google Maps anymore. You rely on your familiar neurological processes, your highways, whether that is serving or not serving you. Your brain fine-tunes these familiar processes and actions, so you become brilliant at doing them automatically. This reduces the mental activity and energy you spend on doing them, and therefore frees up more energy for other stuff. But again, remember, your brain is making you an automatic genius on the processes and actions you use the most, not what is most helpful to you. And I may sound a bit like a broken record at this point, but it is so important for you to understand that. And I hope you already do, as we're quite far into the Elevate Your Life program. Many of you, whether you realize it or not, are upside down geniuses. So you're one of the best in the world at getting an outcome you do not want, like chronic fatigue, anxiety, or self-doubt. If there was an Olympic event, you would win it. That is how brilliant you are. The great thing about being an upside down genius is if you can consistently and automatically get an unhelpful outcome, then you can consistently and automatically get a helpful outcome. You can become a right side up genius. You just need to make those neurological processes familiar. Take yourself back to when you started to learn how to drive. How did you find parallel or reverse parking? What was it like to indicate, shift gear, watch out for traffic, and navigate a roundabout? It was hard, right? But now you do everything perfectly, easily, automatically. And you likely sometimes even arrive at a destination without really remembering how you actually got there. This is because you're a genius at driving. Your familiar neuropathways and automatic habits take over. Let's see how else this works. Think about your mobile number or postcode. I'm guessing you can recite it forwards really easily and quickly. You're used to doing it. But what happens when you try to recite it backwards without writing it down? I want you to pause the video and spend a minute reciting it backwards. Sorry, my nose is itchy. When you do this, do not cheat and continue watching this video. Pause it now and have a go at reciting your postcode or mobile number backwards. Excellent. Welcome back. I really hope you didn't cheat and continued watching. So now you've paused the video and you recited backwards your postcode or mobile number several times. I'm guessing the first few times you did this, it was hard, slow, and clunky. But after several times, it became easier and easier and quicker and quicker. This is because you've strengthened your backward reciting neuropathways. They're now more familiar to you. Now I want you to reflect on your day. When you woke up this morning, what did you do first? Which way did you brush your teeth? Did you put on your left or right shoe first? Which route did you use to get to work? When you got to your desk, what did you do first? What did you have for lunch? And after work, what did you do next? And when did you go to sleep? Your day-to-day is made up of habits. You may or may not even remember all of what you did, as it's automatic. Your familiar neuropathways take over. And although it can feel like you're making aware and deliberate decisions and choices, your life, just like mine, is made up of a mass of habits. A 2006 research paper found that more than 40% of people's daily actions are habits. So if you want to fall asleep fast and wake up feeling great, pay attention to your before bed patterns and what you think and do when you immediately wake up. Want to make mornings more joyful, eat better, exercise consistently, be more focused and productive at work? Create triggers and strengthen the right neuropathways to make it a routine and an automatic habit. Here's how one of my clients did just that. Let's call him Stephen. In less than 12 months, Stephen went from near rock bottom to absolutely thriving, landing a £12,000 pay rise, a huge number of benefits, and he became the kind of person he wanted to be, the kind of father and partner he always dreamed of. Now, on the outside, Stephen had a great life. Picture-perfect family with a successful wife, 2 young kids, stable job in an industry he loved, but he was miserable. Stephen was stuck in a job he hated. He was trapped in a toxic environment and was traveling away from home much of the week. He felt unworthy of a better career, ashamed of his career to date, and how little he contributed to the family income compared to his wife. He felt like he was such a bad parent, becoming quickly frustrated, easy to anger, and didn't feel the connection he desired with his kids. On top of all this, he felt like he was constantly letting his wife down and himself down. He felt like a failure every single day. Stephen desperately wanted to change. He tried lots of different things in the past, but just couldn't shift himself and his life's trajectory in the way he desired. But most importantly, and this is crucial, Stephen believed things could change. Conviction that things can change is absolutely vital to positive change and transformation. And Stephen didn't know just yet how good things were gonna get. From day one of working together, we started overriding different sets of unhelpful neurological patterns that produce these self-sabotaging and unwanted habits. And we replaced them with new neurological patterns that produced his desired habits and outcomes, such as calmness, focus, productivity, love, confidence, and more. So we're making those helpful, unfamiliar neurological pathways familiar. And that's really key. Instead of attempting to overhaul absolutely everything, we actually only looked at 1 to 3 key habits that would get us the most bang for our buck. So the ones that would create tidal waves of transformation across his life. These are otherwise known as keystone habits. One habit that will rewire your brain and effortlessly transform other habits across multiple areas of your life at the same time. Within weeks, his wife was noticing how he'd become the calm parent. He was playing and connecting with his kids daily in new, fun, and deeper ways. He was nurturing his relationships in deeper and better ways as well, finding joy in the everyday again, and his productivity and focus was kicked into the turbocharged gear at work. Fast forward 12 months, and with this newfound confidence and self-worth, he did secure that £12,000 pay rise, all those new benefits, and importantly, the environment was hugely positive and supportive. He could work from home and it aligned with his values and how he wanted to live his life. His relationship with himself and his family is better than ever. So if you've been struggling for weeks, months, or even years to change your habits, it's likely you've been approaching it the wrong way, just like Stephen. The truth is, trying to change your habits without first rewiring your neural pathways is like pushing a really heavy rock uphill. You may make some progress, but eventually something triggers you. And like a stretched elastic band, you snap right back to where you started. Think of rewiring your brain like a brain workout. Making a choice that's 1% better or worse seems insignificant in that moment. But across a lifetime of moments, those choices, those habits, make the difference between who you are and who you could be. You living your goals and dreams or not. This is another secret sauce, that 1% daily improvement. That 1% is making one positive thought, one choice that can change over time absolutely everything. That 1% improvement is like a power rep for your mental muscles. Now, I can hear the skeptics muttering, 1%? That's peanuts. But hold on to your hats, because that seemingly tiny step forward, compounded over time, is the magic potion for summoning your best self and an extraordinary life. So let's crunch the numbers. If you're not a math wizard, just like me, you might think, okay, 1% improvement every day for a year, well, that's a solid 360%, right? Well, buckle up, because the truth is even more exhilarating. If you commit to enhancing yourself by a mere 1% each day, the compound effect kicks in. And voila, after a year, you're not looking at a 360% improvement. You are soaring with a mind-blowing 3,770%, 3,778% improvement. Now, I don't know about you, but that's the kind of exponential growth that I love. And it's all thanks to that wonder of compound interest. So let's break it down like we're unraveling the mysteries of the universe, just like in the Big Bang Theory. So imagine you invest £100 and it improves by 1% every day. Day 1 leaves you with £101. Fast forward to day 70 and you're looking at 100% return, a cool 200. Now, why is that? Because you're not just improving on the original £100, you're stacking that extra 1% on everything that came before. It's like a snowball of self-improvement, gaining momentum and size with each passing day. So if you can get 1% better every day, you'll end up with that 3,778% improvement after 1 year, or 37 times better results than when you started. So there you have it, the compounding power of that humble 1% improvement, one brain rep every day, turning your journey to becoming your best self into this epic adventure that's actually more simple than maybe we were initially thinking. So you're ready to make that daily 1% count. That compound effect awaits you and is more exciting than you can imagine. So it's time to master those habits, because once you do, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Myself and my clients are living proof of that. Habits are often thought of in isolation, a separate thing to trauma, your beliefs or identities. They're seen as just a positive or negative thing that you do. So to change a negative habit, you're often told to switch it for a positive one, or just stop doing it. Want to lose weight? Just work out more and eat better. Want to sleep better? Just go to bed earlier. Want to be more positive? Just think better thoughts. Not only can this be very challenging, but it's very much surface level thinking. Some habits can be that simple to stop and change. Others can be a bit stickier. You could have tried changing them for years, but it never seems to work. These are the habits that require new, deeper levels of thinking because they'll be attached to a limiting belief system and or identity. In earlier modules, we've dived into the hierarchy of change. Here's a quick refresher. At the bottom of the pyramid, we have habits and behaviors. These are governed by your beliefs, which are guided by your identities, all of which are determined by and determine our familiar neuropathways. It's a cool symbiotic process. If you're a smart gardener, you're consciously wiring your brain, appropriately nurturing and starving your life-enhancing and non-life-enhancing neuropathways. However, if you're not a very good gardener, you let your neuropathways run wild and the weeds take over. When you're struggling to create change, it's because A, you're not aware of where or why the weeds are growing, and B, if you know where the weeds are, you've been trying to remove them using the wrong methods. The majority of individuals go for a bottom-up approach, focusing in on changing the habits and behaviors and actions, all that physical stuff. But here, in the WILD Collective, we go for the faster, more powerful, top-down approach. We start with your identities and your beliefs. In this module, you need to be an archaeologist. You'll need to dig deep, brush away the dust, and find out the root cause of your habits, which is buried in your past. Unlike the evil queen in Snow White, we won't be using the magic mirror to ask who is the fairest of them all, but to uncover why you're doing this thing. You need to hold up the magic mirror to yourself and ask, magic mirror, what's behind this habit? Why am I doing this? It's important to find out and understand what familiar pattern, belief system, or identity is driving this habit. For example, why did I do severe chronic fatigue syndrome all those years ago? Yes, I had severe infections and parasites for over 1.5 years, but the physical, mental, and emotional are all connected. My health was in the toilet because of the perfect storm. I was overdoing it, avoiding my feelings, not upholding healthy boundaries, thought I had to prove myself by working hard and succeeding to be loved, accepted, have friends, be lovable, and have my emotional needs met. I had low self-confidence, allowed others to guide the direction of my life and to validate my worth. I strayed from my values and desires, and there were some other layers in there for good measure. So when the parasites and infections came along, my health went completely down the drain. I'd created the perfect environment for all of this to flourish. In summary, I was holding on to childhood trauma. The same goes for the severe hormone imbalance I'm also currently recovering from. I would say I'm about 90% there right now, which is fantastic. Now, a lot of that healing has been around healing the childhood trauma that I have been holding on to. So the physical, emotional, and mental are all connected. Now, trauma doesn't have to be sexual or something truly physically horrific. It can be situations where our emotional needs aren't met and a series of these situations building up over time. I often have clients play down events that actually were quite traumatic for them. On the other hand, I have clients who have been through a really horrendous trauma as well. So holding on to this kind of stuff, it isn't unique to me. My clients suddenly realize that the unhelpful habits they want to stop are connected to parental suicide, sexual harassment or trauma, divorce, emotional abuse, and limited role models at the time. And all these, I'm not downplaying any of them, They are truly awful. If that has happened to you, I am so, so sorry. But it's very important to know that sometimes we think we've healed them and maybe we haven't completely healed them, or we don't feel they are relevant to us because they happened so long ago. But that can be the reason why certain things, whether it's pain, physical pain or emotional pain, is still playing out in our lives today, because these are all very formative experiences that shape our beliefs and our identities. And these in turn shape your familiar neurological processes and therefore your habits and your everyday life. Once we have these epiphanies, these breakthroughs, these realizations, we can start to heal and choose new ways to respond, believe, identity, and move forward. You'll feel a lightness when this happens and things suddenly become easier. We no longer feel like we're walking through cement, but we can now be like treading on water. And this is exactly what you'll be working on today in the PDF attached. Any questions or thoughts, please post them below or shoot me a message in the chat. If you need extra support, I'm here for you. If you need other extra support, if this is bringing up stuff which is very traumatic, then please do not hesitate to reach out to other professionals. In fact, I encourage it. Harder note to be ending this video on, but very important nonetheless. So let me know how you get on. I'm here for you to help support and guide you. And I look forward to hearing the realizations you have and the positive changes that come from it. Hello, Finn. Welcome to Staying Wild. It is so exciting to have you here in person. Much more fun than Zoom.
Yeah, thank you. It was good to make it by.
So you run Hello Lyngen. I've only followed it on Instagram and it looks amazing. Can you tell us more about Hello Lyngen and how you came to bring your vision into your reality?
Sure. Well, I mean, it just kind of happened by itself in a way. Like, I don't think if you'd asked me 10 years ago if I would be living in Lyngen with my own like guiding company, I never would have dreamt that I was going to be doing that, though I'm sure I would have been really excited if you had told me 10 years ago that that's what I was doing. But just kind of started just skiing wise. Like, I came to Lyngen on a ski trip with some friends for the first time 11 years ago. And I just realized like I need to live here if I want to ski everything. It was like too much skiing to be done in 1 week. I think it was horrible weather. And I just kind of looked around and realized there's too much to do here for like a holiday. I need to live here. So then I moved to Tromsø to go to university, but really just because I wanted to ski in Lyngen. And then just kind of ended up skiing a lot. And as I finished my thesis, I started guiding part-time for a guiding company in Lyngen. And then he eventually sold his company to someone else. And I went along with that company and worked for them for a long time. And then I got testicular cancer. And then I was sick and kind of, it was like in that weird kind of trend where I realized I was working like I owned the company, but I didn't own the company. And I was kind of like at the hospital, like getting chemotherapy while still working and organizing, because if I kind of just went on sick leave and quit working, like the whole operation would fall apart and a bunch of guides would lose work last minute in the mid-season and a lot of clients would lose their trips. So I just kind of didn't feel like I could let that happen. So I worked that winter, and then afterwards I was like, okay, we need to change something. And then I just decided I can work a lot less and make as much money if I just have my own company and just focus on the guiding and not running a lodge. So then I started Hallo Lyngen 2 years ago. Now I guess it's been 2 winters, and it's not that complicated really. It's really just me. And if people get in touch and we go skiing, and if I'm already booked and they seem like fun people, I do have some other, like a big network of other guides that maybe I'll match make. So it's not like a groundbreaking business model or anything. It's just, go skiing. And then the name Hallo Lyngen, it's kind of, I don't really know when that happened. I think it was like during the pandemic, and I was alone in Lyngen. And I would always like Snapchat or like Instagram story, like a panorama from the summit. And I guess without knowing it, I would always be like, Hallo. And then I would say the name of the mountain I was on with the view. I did that so much without realizing it that my friends started like making fun of me, or they would like do it. It just kind of became, I don't know, almost like a meme. And I actually kind of got sick of it for a while because people were like expecting me to do it. But then when I was starting my own company, I was like, what should I call it? And everyone was like, Hallo Lyngen. So it's kind of It's more of but it's a good, I guess, way of enthusiastically greeting the mountains and going on an adventure. Works well too. And now I'm just like, Hallo Lyngen, or wherever I am. That's kind of it.
That's awesome. I love it. Did you find it easy to make that leap from being employed by someone to then starting your own company?
Yeah, it was kind of easy, but at the same time, I had been working in guiding in Lyngen for 4 or 5 years already, and I already had so much experience in bringing in clients, so that I knew I would bring in clients for the ski season, no problem. I think it would have been different having come completely from scratch, but it was just kind of a small change, and I still collaborate and work well with my old employer. They still have the lodges. I just focus on the guiding and don't have to do a lot of administrative work. So I really just focus on doing the things I want to do and try to get away from doing the work I don't want to do.
And if you don't mind me asking, but you don't have to answer this question if you don't want to, when you were having your treatment and you're balancing treatment, getting better, and then running the company and then dreaming of what you think you want to do next, how were you able to find, maybe not balance, but how are you able to push yourself through that, if that's the right word, but without burning yourself out?
I don't know. It's probably, I think it is, I probably did burn myself out as this kind of, I think at least a lot of in suffering is like an inherent part of a lot of mountain climbing and expeditions, and this gritted out mentality. And I even remember once, like my dad, he's like, "Oh, why don't you talk about suffering in the mountains all the time? Why don't you go suffer and work or do something else more productive?" So, but I think I probably just, it was, had a mortgage to pay. Didn't really seem like there was any other alternative. It was like, that was the least bad way out of it, was just forward. So yeah, I don't know. That's probably not what you want to tell a bunch of people struggling with burnout, is just to just work through it. But no, but I definitely did. The first winter, was still a bit of kind of like long fatigue after the treatment. So I worked a lot, and I didn't have enough energy to like do other stuff. And I've definitely been really tactical in how I expend my energy and like where I can work, but also like what work I do. And it's getting better and better. And it's like, even still now, I plan ahead and plan to have like down periods where I know like, okay, I'm going to have 2 months where I work intensely, and then I'm going to have 5 days where I do nothing. And then I'm going to have 10 days where I work intensely, and then I'm going to have 5 days where I do nothing. I just know that if I do go into that burnout workload, that I just have to have planned to have time off to recover.
That's a great answer. I think it's really important to touch on that sometimes life is just shit, and you just have to move forward, as you said. But it was actually quite interesting. I was talking to a client the other day and discussing exactly what you're just saying now, is being really selective with where you put your energy, where you put your time, and where you put your effort, and having really strong boundaries around that. So I can imagine you're very good at saying yes and no to the things that do and do not add value or serve you. Would that be correct?
I'm pretty good at saying yes to things, but I think I respond to stress really well. I think, and I will sometimes just rely on the fact that I know that the more pressure I'm under, like the better I perform. And I know that some tasks I can leave to last minute, and I know that I just have like the confidence in that it will go well. And so it's kind of easier just to kind of deal with that. And I guess I do say no to some things as well, but it's more that it's not that I say no, it's just that I've already said yes to other things, so I can't say yes to more things on top of that, if that makes sense. But it's probably a lecturer's problem, or it's too many things you want to do. But I guess that's like working with guiding is fun, and it's not that I say no, it's just that I kind of reframe it and kind of, I guess I'm more selective in what I choose to do.
I love that, the reframing. It's about saying yes to the things that really excites you and brings you joy, but then you're choosing that over something that doesn't bring you as much joy.
Yeah, or I don't know, it's kind of, I always like to delay decision making. So it's like, I'll say yes to the things that I really want to do, and then to the things where I want to say no to right away. Like, it's usually just because it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just kind of, it's always nice to know if there's like something better you can do in that same opportunity. So it's kind of like, delay decision making on the things that don't excite me as much. Because sometimes there's work that needs to be done, and I'd rather be doing something that doesn't excite me as much, as opposed to not working if So, but I don't want to I think there's only so many days in the year, and especially I kind of joke that guiding is kind of like fishing. You have to, you have a quota and you have to fish it in that season, and whatever you don't get up, you can't get later. I've gotten to the point now where like if someone wants to book one day of skiing, like I'll just say, sorry, I like work minimum 3 days, or I prefer working with people with 4 or 5 days. So I haven't said no. I've just said, can you change it? And that, because I don't want to plan my calendar around like one random day. It makes a lot of other, like kind of the Tetris of the calendar a lot harder. So it's kind of that way of framing it. And then if they're, okay, no, we'll come for a week, then it's like, okay, well then if you're willing to commit to a week, then I can commit to that and we can make it more exciting, if that makes sense.
That makes complete sense. You're just really following your joy and following your excitement, and then also setting yourself up for more joy and excitement in the future. For those listening who don't know how to choose when something isn't aligned, do you have any thoughts or feelings you've been able to let guide you in building a more aligned and fulfilled life?
I don't know, really. I just go with the flow, and it's works out. Somehow it's not so. Maybe there is some intuition there but I don't really have a good way of describing exactly what that is or how that works. It just kind of, when opportunities feel natural to follow, I follow them. When you look back, you can usually draw a line to figure it out, but in the moment, it's not, always clear why or how or where opportunities will lead. It just happens.
So you're just feeling into it. And like when it feels good, then you're like, this is really good. And then when it feels maybe not so good, then you're like, maybe not.
I don't know.
That's
I
fine.
haven't thought so much about it. It just kind of happens.
Yeah. Cool. I really like that. If we move the conversation on to skiing, just before we started recording, we mentioned that there are different groups you can join. And one is the open groups, like at festivals, when there's a range of abilities. Then one's more a private group. And that's when I guess you bring a bunch of friends along. What would you say are I've not heard the term open and private, but now it makes complete sense. What would you say are the pros and cons for each one, and which is your favorite one to join?
I generally only do private groups. Pro on that is that I don't have to be responsible for who comes and meet a group of people that they've come together. It's usually one person has planned it, and I charge the same rate for private guiding with one person or a group of 6 for ski touring. We as a group will just do what's best for the group, and I'm not worried about the social dynamics of everyone's expectations because they've come together. The con of that is that it can often be more expensive, especially for smaller groups. So the open groups is typically what happens at festivals, or if I was going to just have a website that was every day, every Saturday, there's a ski trip to this mountain. There's 6 spots you can join. Each spot costs this much money. It goes no matter how many people sign up. Pro is obviously that it's cheaper for individuals, and I think it's really good for people who don't have people to go skiing with to join the experience. But I think it's a lot of that guiding. It's really hard if people don't have the same abilities and expectations. And my experience are people are really bad at self-reporting their own abilities. So a lot of that guiding becomes more about just facilitating an experience. Whereas with the private groups, you can kind of get a lot more, just better relationship in terms of like what you want to do and have progressions. And even if you have a different ability level within the group, you've come together, you're friends, so people aren't disappointed. Whereas if you have an open group and one person is not as fit and one person is quite fit, ends up both people end up having a bad time, and it kind of devalues the experience, even if it's less expensive per person. But usually if you're friends and you know that you've invited your friend who's less fit, even if you've only invited them to make the cost of the trip cheaper, you did that. That's not on me. Whereas, I don't know, it just makes my life more pleasant.
If you are in a position like myself, I guess, where you want to do something a bit more fun and a bit more adventurous, but you don't have the skills to do that on your own, and you don't have you've just not met ski friends to do that trip with, but then you don't do the open group for the reasons you just described, what is the best way to have that really cool experience? But if there's just one of you, it can be like crazy expensive. Is there a way where you think you can create a really cool experience without it just being yourself if you don't necessarily have a network to lean?
I mean, It seems like you're asking how to make friends to go skiing with.
It does seem like that is a bit of a crazy question to ask.
And I mean, I think I'm kind of spoiled in the sense that I obviously have a lot of expertise in skiing and am happy to go skiing with myself or have a lot of friends to go skiing with, or even like, whenever I travel around, just like social media or whatever, I can usually connect with other, very good skiers. Or as I'm guiding a lot, like I can go skiing with anyone and, just kind of I just know what to expect and communicate that. But I think it's really hard when inexperienced skiers or like, beginners, intermediates are really poor at evaluating the expertise and skills of others. So it's kind of, that can be a challenge. But I think, yeah, I'm not really sure how adults make friends to go skiing with. I mean, either going to these festivals in open groups and just doing that to meet other people that you enjoy, and then going skiing with them is one way, probably. I mean, I know they're making lots of these kind of, doesn't seem to be a unique problem. I think there's a lot of these kind of online communities and apps that are kind of being shared as a way of meeting places. But I think what you really need to do is kind of just take time to like get to know your partners. And I think for me, who I do like my more adventurous trips with, it's kind of quite selective, or I want to be confident in my partners, and it takes time to build that trust. So kind of meeting people, going on simpler trips, making sure the communication works well, expectations are the same, abilities coincide, and then over time going on those trips. I think it's really easy to want to just go right into this kind of cool experience, but there's really like no course or guided trip or anything is like a shortcut for like experience, and especially experience with other partners, and that just takes time. If you do go on like an expensive private guided trip, I mean, you can have a really good experience, and I think you can shortcut and get like a lot of good mentorship, and you can learn a lot from that experience. But if that's the only time you go skiing, that's not going to help for when you go skiing on your own. You need to go skiing a lot and be with people you want to be with a lot to improve and have progression.
I think that's so true. And actually, I have Dave coming on. He's British, based out in Chamonix. And he's got the Oak app, which apparently is becoming quite popular in Norway now. So I'm looking forward to trying that out next season. When you're looking to advance your ski skills, when you have done a lot of days in the mountains, or you're just a proficient skier, is there a good course or program you recommend to, or even if it is hiring a guide for a week and doing mentorship, to improve your ski skills and get more comfortable in the mountains?
I think it depends on like where you are and what you want to do. I think for like a lot of people, just kind of the first step is just a little bit of reflection on like what the motivations are. And I think can be a big like there's so much kind of ski media that is quite extreme, that's kind of become quite normal and popularized. And is that something everyone needs to be doing, is kind of a question to be asked. And I, not that it's right or wrong or should not, it's just kind of a big part of adventure, I think, is having some form of uncertainty and meeting that and like getting to the other side of that. And that could be being successful. You're not sure how it's going to go, you go and it's goes well. Or it could be you're not sure how it goes, you drive to the new parking lot, you go up to the point and you get to that steep slope and you think, oh, it's too dangerous today, the weather's not right, and you turn around and you've dealt with the uncertainty. Maybe it wasn't the result you wanted to, but that's an experience you've had. And I think having the confidence to meet the uncertainty, challenging that uncertain moment will change. But with skills, maybe you need to have better fitness, maybe you need to have like better ski techniques, maybe you need to learn more about snow safety and avalanches or weather forecasting. I don't know where the lack of skills is, but I think it's like thinking about like what don't I know? Like where is the uncertainty? What do I need to have the confidence to meet? Not that the outcome is known, but knowing that you can try and you can fail in a way that's not going to be catastrophic.
I really love that, because actually there are really good lessons you can take from the mountains into the boardroom, and is looking at that motivation, like what is driving me, but like what is actually driving me, not what am I allowing the noise around me to drive. Because you're so right, you see this in the mountains where it's like, what do I want to do the big adventure stuff that I see on social media because it looks really cool? Or actually, do I want to do something that actually lights me up or that's actually exciting for myself? Then, as you said, with the uncertainty, when we face that in our careers, it's looking at, okay, this is a bit uncertain or I'm doing a bit of fear around this. What skills am I missing to give me the confidence I need? And then if I don't do it the first time or it doesn't go very well the first time, it's just a learning experience. And then coming back to myself and be like, okay, well, what do I need next to get over that hump or bump or uncertainty?
Yeah, and I think that's just kind of, everyone wants to be able to just, take a course or do something and shortcut it. But it's really, I think people learn best from their own mistakes, especially in the mountains, just having time to make, small mistakes and learn from them so you avoid making big mistakes, or just having the time to reflect and learn from the times where you have made big mistakes with lucky outcomes. I think there's a lot of luck in the mountains, but I think the key is just to like good planning and reflection. And just afterwards, like, we had a great time skiing today. Was it because we had a good plan and everything went as we thought, or did we just go to the car park that we normally go to, follow the tracks that someone put in, ski down, just kind of had a good time? But so I think what course is right to take, I think just depends on where you are. I think a lot of people who are getting into ski touring probably should spend a lot of time downhill skiing at a ski area and working on their off-piste ski abilities. I think that's one thing. And then, an avalanche course, doing the level 1 is good. And then even repeating the level 1 after you've been skiing more. I've had people wanting to do an avalanche course, a level 1 week and a level 2 the next week and another one the next week. And I was like, no, you should just do one course, then you should go ski for a whole winter, and then we should come back next year and we can do the same course with the same stuff, but you have so much more experience that we can talk about the same subjects in a more nuanced way and kind of reflect upon the experiences you've had.
That's my plan for next season, because I did my avalanche course this season. It was really good, but like information overload. So I cannot imagine doing them back to back. I was dying off like my first one. But as you said, like, I'm looking to go back because he was talking about all these different things. He's like, would you like to learn this? And I was like, no, my brain is already so full from absorbing just the basic information. There was no value to like go the next step. But now having skied the whole season, there is the value. But I really like what you said about the reflection piece as well. I was practicing more and more of that in the mountains. But that's another great thing to do, like just in your day-to-day as well, as reflecting like what went well, what didn't go well, and what could I do better next time. So I really like that too. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
As we wrap up the podcast, do you have any advice for those who would like to live their life more aligned and follow their inner wild?
I mean, just go for it, What's the worst that could happen? You just gotta do what you want to do and don't worry so much about what other people think, and don't really spend too much time comparing yourself with others. I think that's where a lot of the trouble is. Just, if you want to do something, do it.
I love it. Don't overthink it. Just do it. Where can we find you if we'd like to come to Hello Lyngen or connect with you? Because you've done some ski films as well. Where can we find you?
Yeah, probably like my personal Instagram is probably like where I'm the most active on social media, and even like that's Finn Hovem. And then Hello Lyngen is like my company. We'll see. I think I mean at the moment they're both kind of me. I tried to like keep the pure work stuff to Hello Lyngen, but I have a lot, since it is mostly just me. I do like most of the social media is like my personal account, but you can get in touch with me there.
Awesome. I'll include all of that in the show notes. Thank you so much for dropping by. It's been so fun to meet you in person, as you're usually way up north. And thank you so much for dropping all of your amazing wisdom.
Hope it helps. I definitely think it's fun to be in the mountains, and if can help other people feel more confident, then welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's it for today, wild ones. Please rate, review, subscribe. This really helps me with the podcast algorithms to reach more wild-hearted souls. Until next time, darling wild ones, try not to do anything I wouldn't do, which quite frankly leaves you with plenty of options. Stay smart, stay savage, and above all, stay wild. I'll see you above the tree lines very soon.